Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you had a safe and happy holiday season. I'm Bobby Broyles along with Tim McDonald with This Week in CA Football presented by Geico. It is National Championship Week, Tim, and before we dive into the big game, let's give the folks out there some history with CA Football as it relates to the National Championship game.
Absolutely. Starting with the basics, the 14-0 Dukes are looking to repeat as national champs and make their third title game in program history, where they've gone 2-0, let's remember, with wins over Montana in 2004 and Youngstown State, of course, last year. JMU seeks CA Football's seventh national title all-time, while the Dukes are the 13th team from the league to reach the FCS title game. In terms of FCS history, the 2018 trophy contest will be the 40th all-time, while Madison has a chance to join remarkable only Georgia Southern in 1989 and North Dakota State in 2013 to finish with a perfect season at 15-0 overall. Last time CA Football had a team faced NDSU in the national championship was Towson in 2013. The Dukes defeated the Bison in the semifinals a year ago, giving them one of just their 8 overall defeats since the start of 2011, and can become the first team to beat NDSU in back-to-back seasons since 2010, just to give you an idea of how good this Bison program has been over a long period of time. NDSU returns to the title game for the 6th time in the last 7 years after a 55-13 win over Sam Houston State in the semis, and the lone common opponent between the Dukes and the Bison was South Dakota State, and obviously the Jackrabbits beat NDSU in the regular season, with JMU, of course, cruising into this week's title game with a 51-16 win over the Jacks on December 16th. The top 2 seeds are meeting in this championship game for the first time since the playoff field expanded to 24 teams, although 2018 marks the 3rd time overall that the number 1 and number 2 play for the trophy. That's among FCS history. And with all the talk about the rematch and how will North Dakota State respond and how will JMU try to keep that winning streak between these two programs right now, let's not forget that James Madison also owns the best winning streak in all of Division I, 26 straight wins overall, and is yet to lose a game versus FCS competition under head coach Mike Houston. And if you step back and take a look at the total body of work done by his program, it's a perfect opportunity right now for the Dukes to play for all the marbles against the best of the best and the highest standard that is this level of football that it has to offer.
Yep. The JMU Dukes look to become the first CA football team to ever win back-to-back national titles on Saturday. Let's preview the offensive side of the ball first, Tim, as this team has been led all year by their senior quarterback, Brian Shore.
You're watching ESPN and you hear, well, here's this guy, Brian Shore. If you've heard the story of Brian Shore and followed his career over the past 2+ years, you know it's not easy to try and compare him to other quarterbacks or other styles of play, simply because he's done it all for the Dukes in his own often overlooked way. And Shore enters his 33rd and final start under center with 4 major program records offensively, passing touchdowns, passing yards, we can go on. But what always remains is his ability to put his team and the offense in the best position to get a win. He's thrown for 26 TDs and over 3,000 yards this season, along with 7 rushing scores, and continues to dictate and lead that offense that can hurt you in a lot of ways, whichever and however you decide to try and stop the offense. If I'm the Dukes on Saturday, there's no question. We've talked about it many times. It's kind of even carried over into this season. You know where you're going to need to match and equalize, who controls the line of scrimmage. Hands down, that's going to be the key. It sounds obvious, it sounds simple, but facing the Bison D, that is unlike any other that the Dukes have faced in 2017. And for that reason, I think I'm looking for I'm looking for a physical start in hopes to make NDSU play catch up from the get-go. JMU outscores teams 77-10 so far in the first quarter this season and used that same quick and efficient mentality last year in Fargo and in Frisco even against both NDSU and Youngstown State, en route to just letting the defense do its job and take care of things on that side while the offense just does its own job. Marcus Marshall, Riley Stapleton, both have come alive a little bit during this playoff push, and if they maintain that consistency, it's going to be obviously hard to slow down the offense, but don't overlook the impact of the other guys, too, on offense. Potentially healthy John Miller, if he's back. Special teams, the big-time plays that he makes on offense all the time. If he's healthy, that's going to be a difference maker, as well as guys like Terrence Alls, who's the leading receiver, and David Eldridge as well. Balance is critical for a team like JMU that averages over 200 yards per game on the ground, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dukes at the same time have to make some adjustments. I wouldn't be surprised if they have to make those adjustments through the air because of the way they dominated and won the line of scrimmage against the Bison during their last meeting last year. So keep an eye on that too, the adjustments. We know both teams what they want to do, but it's also going to be a game of adjustments.
As we switch over to JMU's defense, how does this number 1 unit in FCS football stack up against a North Dakota State offense that will look to impose their will on the ground?
Considering how NDSU has played over its last 5 games and regained that downhill, beat-you-up mentality, the rush defense for the Dukes will be one of the key factors for victory in Frisco, plain and simple. And since a regular season loss to South Dakota State, The Bison, we talked about it last time on this show, average over 300 yards per game rushing during that streak and come in with 47 rushing scores, 6.2 yards per carry. Bruce Anderson, if you hear the Bruce chants throughout the game, that's going to be trouble for JMU. He leads the charge with over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Quarterback Easton Stick, also not too shabby on the ground, tied for the team lead with 12 rushing scores and 628 yards. When asked this week about the health of running backs Ty Brooks and Lance Dunn, both of whom were a little bit dinged up, Bison head coach Chris Kleiman said, "Well, we'll find out. We'll see on Saturday." So a little bit of game there, but in many ways, like Madison's offense, the Bison understand the importance of controlling the rush attack, sustaining drives, and taking care of the ball at all times. Doesn't need to put up balls. It doesn't need to find the scoreboard on every single drive. They just get the job done, slow, steady, move the pile. And I'm really interested to see how JMU defensive coordinator Bob Trott will adjust versus the Bison up front, especially after JMU held North Dakota State to 132 yards on 39 carries a year ago. Didn't allow really at any time any Bison player to get loose and have that big, the longest run in that game for a North Dakota State player was 22 yards. So it gives you an idea of how JMU is going to try to stop the Bison again. Think about the Duke's leaders. Do you think about Jordan Brown, Raven Green, Andrew Anka? We've talked about them many times, but playing in their final games for JMU, it's hard to picture a more fitting platform for those players and the leaders. Many more that have turned this side of the ball for JMU into a new staple defensively. And what a way to go out. What an opportunity. This game plan used to defeat NDSU last season revolved around forcing Easton Stick to beat you with his arm. JMU kind of sat there and said, we're going to make him try to beat us. He went 19 of 38 for 216 yards and 0 touchdowns. More importantly, that's still his highest attempt in a game since he's worn a Bison uniform. And once again, you bet you can see that same type of formula used by Madison, again, from Toyota Stadium on Saturday afternoon and say, you know what, Easton Stick, we're going to try to shut down the run game and make you beat us again, like see if you can do it through the arm.
Great work, Tim. He's got all the answers over here
Thank
for
you,
this
Bob.
one. Once again, it is the national championship game. The whole country really wanted to see, Tim. It's the number 1 JMU Dukes taking on the number 2 North Dakota State Bison live from Frisco, Texas on Saturday, January the 6th on ESPN2 at noon. The CA football crew will also be on site beginning on Thursday, and there will be plenty of content and ways you can follow all of the events this upcoming weekend.
Plenty of events. This is a championship caliber atmosphere. The days leading up, we're going to see JMU fans, we're going to see Bison fans, but plenty of events and lead up and hype all around Frisco. And like you said, we'll have people on the ground. We'll have plenty more coverage. There's press conferences, there's practice. We'll be all over the place, but we strongly advise to check in with us on social by following the league on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search CAA Football, and you can use the hashtag CAFB and FCS Championship as well to be part of the conversation too. And as always, Bobby and I, no matter what happens, we'll be back next week to wrap up the national title game and the whole season in full as well.
Well, that's a wrap from us today. Good luck to the Dukes this weekend. We'll see you in Frisco. Enjoy the game, everyone.